My name is Natalie Parker. I'm 37 years old, and the strange thing about the moment your life falls apart is that it never feels loud when it begins. There's no warning, no sharp crack in the air, no voice telling you, this is it. Sometimes it starts with something as small as a feeling you can't explain. His name was Ethan Cole. We had been together for 6 years. 6 years of what I used to describe as steady. Not exciting, not dramatic, just safe. We met at work. He was confident in that quiet way people trust without questioning. Not loud, not flashy, but dependable. At least, that's what I believed. We built a life that looked right from the outside. A house, 2 cars, weekend routines, conversations about the future that never felt urgent because we thought we had time. That was the lie. Time doesn't warn you when it's about to run out. Looking back now, I can see exactly where things started to shift. It wasn't obvious. Not at first. It was small things. Ethan coming home later than usual. His phone always face down. New cologne I didn't recognize. Gym memberships he never really used. The kind of details you notice, and then immediately explain away, because the alternative is too uncomfortable. Work's been crazy lately, he told me one night, loosening his tie like he always did. I nodded, smiled, played my part. Yeah, I get it. And I did get it. Or at least, I told myself I did, because trusting him felt easier than questioning everything. Then came the nights out. Just drinks with friends, he'd say. Nothing big. At first it was once a week, then twice. Then it stopped feeling like something I could keep track of. You don't mind, right? He asked once, already halfway out the door. I remember standing in the kitchen, holding a glass I hadn't realized I'd stopped drinking from. No, I said. Of course not. That was the moment, I think. The moment I chose comfort over truth. 3 months before everything ended, something inside me shifted. Not suspicion. Something deeper. A quiet certainty that something was wrong. Really wrong. He came home one night at 2 a.m., went straight to the bathroom. Shower turned on before he even said hello. I sat on the edge of the bed, listening to the water run. Spilled a drink, he said when he came out, toweling his hair. I nodded. Of course I did. 2 weeks later, same thing. Different excuse. Same feeling in my chest. That's when I started paying attention. Not dramatically. Not in a way anyone would notice. Just quietly. Watching. Listening. Waiting. I checked his phone one night while he slept. Or tried to. Password changed. He'd never had one before. Privacy, he said the next morning when I asked. Everyone deserves privacy. I remember staring at him for a second too long, trying to recognize the man standing in front of me. That was the moment I stopped trusting him, and the moment I started preparing for the truth. I installed a camera in our bedroom, hidden, pointed at the door. Not because I was sure of anything, but because I needed to know, even if it broke me. Last Thursday, he texted me at 10:07 p.m. Running late. Don't wait up. I stared at the message longer than I should have, then typed back, okay. I went to bed early, left the bedroom door unlocked, like always, placed my phone under my pillow, recording. And then, I pretended to sleep. At exactly 3:17 a.m., I heard the front door open. Laughter. Not just his. Multiple voices. Female. Loud. Careless. Too comfortable. My heart didn't race. That's the strange part. It didn't panic. It just stopped. Shh, Ethan whispered, his voice closer now. She's asleep. Another voice. Soft. Amused. You sure? Trust me, he said. She sleeps like the dead. Laughter. Not nervous. Not hesitant.
Confident.
Footsteps on the stairs.
Unsteady.
Drunk. Not even trying to be quiet. I kept my breathing even. Slow.
Controlled.
Like my body hadn't just realized everything I believed in was about to collapse. The bedroom door opened. Light shifted. Air changed. See? Ethan said softly. Told you. Another woman's voice this time, lower. This is insane. Ethan laughed. It's fine. She's clueless.
Clueless.
That word didn't hurt the way I expected. It didn't sting. It didn't burn. It just settled, like confirmation. I opened my eyes just enough to see 3 women, strangers, standing in my bedroom, looking at my life like it was something disposable. One of them lingered.
Familiar.
Not fully recognizable yet, but something about her presence felt intentional, like she didn't belong in the category of stranger. They walked past the bed, into our bathroom. The door closed, the shower turned on, and then Ethan's voice again. Come on, we can all fit. I lay there, listening, recording,
Understanding.
20 minutes. That's how long it took. 20 minutes for 6 years of my life to become something unrecognizable. When they came out, I closed my eyes again. Ethan got into bed beside me, his skin still warm, his hair damp, smelling like soap that didn't belong to our house. The women left, laughing, like nothing had happened. Ethan fell asleep within minutes, breathing steady,
Peaceful.
I didn't sleep at all. At 6 a.m., my alarm went off, same as every other morning.
Routine. Predictable.
Safe. Morning already? He murmured beside me. Yeah, I said softly. I'm going for a run. But I didn't go for a run. I went to my car, sat in the driver's seat, and for the first time, I let myself feel it. Not heartbreak, not even anger.
Clarity.
I backed up the audio, uploaded everything to cloud storage. Then I opened my laptop and watched the footage from the camera. Every second, every word, every laugh. I didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, I picked up my phone and called a lawyer. I need an emergency appointment today. Because by the time the sun was fully up, I already knew one thing for certain. This wasn't something we were going to fix. This was something I was going to end. By 9 a.m., I was sitting across from a divorce attorney in a glass office downtown, watching my own life play silently across his laptop screen. He didn't interrupt, didn't offer sympathy, didn't flinch. He just watched. The footage of Ethan slipping into our bedroom at 3:17 a.m., the women behind him. His voice, low and smug. His laugh. That word again.
Clueless.
When the video ended, he leaned back in his chair and folded his hands. Well, he said calmly, that's about as clear as it gets. I stared at him. I hadn't realized until then that some part of me was still waiting for someone to tell me I was overreacting. That maybe there was some explanation I hadn't considered, some misunderstanding that would make me feel foolish instead of devastated. But there wasn't. Adultery in the home, he said. Documented. Recorded. With witnesses on tape. If the property was yours before the marriage, and if his name isn't on the deed, you're in a very strong position. I swallowed. My house, I said quietly. I bought it before we got married. It's only in my name. He nodded once. Then you can ask him to leave. If he refuses, you call the police. The words were simple.
Clinical.
Nothing about them matched the reality of what they meant. Leave, police,
Marriage.
over. I looked back at the screen, paused on the frame of Ethan standing in my doorway with another woman's hand resting on his shoulder like she belonged there. I want to file today, I said. There was a beat of silence. Then the attorney nodded. Then we filed today. 3 hours later, I walked out with divorce papers in my bag and a numbness so complete, it almost felt like strength. On the drive home, I didn't turn on the radio, didn't call anyone, didn't cry. I just drove through traffic with both hands on the wheel and one thought repeating in my head over and over again. He thought I was asleep. There was something almost unbearable about that part. Not just that he cheated, not just that he humiliated me, but that he did it with the calm confidence of a man who believed I would never wake up, never notice, never act. He had already rewritten me in his mind into someone too blind, too passive, too trusting to stop him. And maybe I had helped create that illusion. Maybe every time I said, "It's fine," when it wasn't fine, every time I swallowed my suspicion, every time I chose silence over confrontation, I taught him how little he thought he had to fear. By the time I pulled into the driveway, that numbness had hardened into something sharper, not rage.
Precision.
He was at work. He had no idea what was waiting for him. I walked into the house slowly, set my purse down, looked around the living room we had decorated together. The framed photos, the throw blanket he always pulled over his legs on cold nights, the coffee mug still sitting in the sink from the morning. Ordinary things. That was the cruelest part. How normal everything looked after your life had already split into before and after. I went upstairs, opened the closet, and started packing. At first, my hands shook. I folded his shirts wrong, dropped hangers, had to stop twice because my breathing kept catching in my throat. But after the first suitcase, something in me settled. By the second, I wasn't shaking anymore. By the third, I was methodical.
Clothes.
Shoes. Toiletries. Watches. Gym bag. Laptop chargers. Drawers from the bathroom. The expensive cologne he wore when he was trying to impress people. The belt his mother bought him for Christmas. The framed photo from his office. I packed everything that was his, not angrily,
Thoroughly.
like I was erasing evidence of a life that had already ended. By noon, I'd filled 8 suitcases and stacked box after box in the living room. 23 in total. I remember counting them because it gave my mind something practical to hold on to. 23 boxes. 8 suitcases. 6 years. Reduced to inventory. Then I called a locksmith. "I need all the locks changed today," I said. He gave me a quote, asked if it was an emergency. "Yes," I said. "It is." He arrived within the hour, worked quietly, didn't ask questions. I was grateful for that. When he finished, he handed me the new keys and said, "You're all set." All set. As if this were some simple home improvement project. As if I hadn't just locked the door on an entire version of my life. Still, I thanked him. After he left, I sat on the stairs and waited. Not because I didn't know what was coming, because I did. That was the strange power of betrayal once it became visible. It took all the confusion with it. There was no more wondering, no more second-guessing, no more debating whether I was imagining things. There was only action. At 6:04 p.m., I heard his car pull into the driveway. I stood up, smoothed my shirt, walked to the front door. His key hit the lock once, then twice. Then there was a pause, a knock. "Natalie?" he called, half laughing. "Why isn't this working?" I opened the door, didn't step aside. His expression shifted the moment he saw the boxes behind me. Confusion first, then alarm. "What is this?" "Your things," I said. He blinked at me. "What?" "You need to leave." For a second, he just stared. Then he laughed. Not because anything was funny, because disbelief is often just panic wearing a better suit. "Natalie, what are you talking about?" I didn't answer. I pulled out my phone. Pressed play. The audio filled the space between us. His voice. Her voice. The other women laughing. "Shh, she's sleeping. Trust me, she sleeps like the dead." Then, "She's clueless. Always has been." The blood drained from his face so fast, it was almost unreal. He looked at the phone, then at me, then back at the phone, like maybe hearing it twice would change what it was. "Natalie, I also have video." He went still. "I recorded everything," I said. "You bringing 3 women into my bedroom, into my bathroom, at 3:17 in the morning while you thought I was asleep." His mouth opened.
Closed.
"That's not what it looks like." It was such a pathetic sentence that for one strange second, I nearly laughed. "Really?" I asked softly. "Then tell me what it looks like." He rubbed a hand over his face. "They were drunk. We were drunk. It was stupid, but it wasn't. Don't. He looked up. I had never spoken to him in that tone before. Not once in 6 years. Maybe that's why he actually stopped. Do not insult me by lying to my face after I already heard everything. His eyes flicked past me into the house. To the boxes. To the suitcases. To the changed lock. And I watched him understand, piece by piece, that this was real. You packed my stuff? I filed for divorce this morning. That hit him harder than the recording. What? You'll be served tomorrow. Natalie, slow down. No. He stepped closer, lowering his voice like intimacy might still work on me. Please, just calm down and let's talk about this. I almost admired the instinct. Cheat. Humiliate. Betray. Then ask the injured person to calm down. I am calm, I said, and I was. That was what frightened him. Not screaming, not crying, not begging. Calm. He ran both hands through his hair, suddenly agitated. This is insane. You can't kick me out. Yes, I can. This is my house, too. No, I said. It isn't. I bought it before we got married. Your name is not on the deed. Legally, this house is mine. He stared at me. I could see him recalculating everything in real time. The affair, the house, the evidence, the leverage he thought he had. All gone. I said leave, I told him. He took another step toward the doorway, like he might push past me. My body tensed instantly. Don't, I said. Natalie, I live here. You lived here. He looked at me then, with something uglier than guilt. Not shame.
Entitlement.
You're seriously throwing away 6 years over one mistake? And there it was. Not remorse.
Minimization.
One mistake. As if betrayal was a typo. As if bringing multiple women into our home while I slept was some minor lapse in judgment. I looked at him for a long moment. Then I said very quietly, You didn't make one mistake. You made a series of choices. Last night was just the first time I had proof. That landed. I saw it in his face. He knew I was right. He knew this wasn't about one night. It was about all the nights before that. All the lies. All the manipulation. All the times he counted on my silence. His voice changed then. Softer. More desperate. Please. We can fix this. No, we can't. I'll go to therapy. No. I'll cut everyone off. No. It meant nothing. That one actually hurt. Not because I believed him. Because of what it revealed. That our marriage was apparently worth less to him than a night he claimed meant nothing. I felt something cold move through me. Exactly, I said. And that's why this is over. He started crying then. Not dramatically. Not convincingly. Just enough to make himself sound wounded. I used to respond to that version of him. The one who looked broken at just the right moment. The one who knew how to make pain look accidental. But once you see manipulation clearly, it loses its magic. Where am I supposed to go? He asked. I shrugged. You have friends, family, the women from last night. Figure it out. He laughed bitterly through his tears. You're unbelievable. No, I said. I was unbelievably patient. This is different. He tried one more time to step forward. I pulled out my phone and unlocked it. If you refuse to leave, I call the police. He looked at the screen, then at me. And finally, for the first time since I had known him, I saw fear. Real fear. Not of losing me. Of consequences. He held my gaze for several seconds, then exhaled sharply and looked away. Fine. He shoved past the boxes, grabbed the nearest suitcase, then stopped. This isn't over. Yes, I said. It is. For the next hour, he loaded his own life into his car, while the neighbors watched from driveways and front porches, pretending not to stare. He cried,
Swore.
Muttered under his breath. At one point, he turned back toward me, standing in the doorway, and said, You're going to regret this. But even then, he sounded unsure, like he was trying out a line he no longer believed. I didn't answer. What was there to say? He made trip after trip from the house to the driveway, each one a quieter version of the man who had arrived. Smaller, less certain, more humiliated. And with every box that left, the house felt different.
Emptier. Cleaner. Sadder. Truer. On the final trip, he stood by the open trunk of his car and turned toward me one last time.
There was something frantic in his face now. Not love, not regret, just panic at the collapse of the version of reality he thought he controlled.
Natalie.
I waited. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Maybe because there was nothing left to say. He got in the car and drove away. I watched the taillights disappear at the end of the street. Then I closed the door, locked it, checked it twice, and stood there in the silence. The house felt unfamiliar immediately. Too quiet, too still, like the walls themselves were adjusting. I walked back into the living room and looked at the empty space where his boxes had been stacked all day. Then I sat down on the couch, and for the first time since 3:17 a.m., I cried. Not because I missed him, not because I wanted him back, but because 6 years of my life had just ended on my front step, and some broken part of me still couldn't believe how quickly a person could become a stranger. The next morning, Friday, his world started to collapse. Not all at once, not dramatically, just quietly, the same way mine had. At 10:12 a.m., I got the notification. Divorce papers served. I stared at the message longer than I expected. It felt official, not emotional, not symbolic.
Legal. Final.
There was something almost unsettling about how quickly 6 years could be reduced to paperwork and signatures. At 11:03 a.m., my phone rang. His mother. I let it ring twice before answering. Natalie? Her voice was tight. What did Ethan do? Straight to the point. No accusations, no assumptions, just confusion. And the kind of dread. Ask him, I said calmly. I did. He said you kicked him out. That you're overreacting, that there was a reason.
Silence.
Then quieter. What happened? I didn't explain. I didn't defend myself. I just said, check your phone, and hung up. I sent her a 30-second audio clip. Not the whole thing, just enough. His voice, my name, and that word,
Clueless.
always has been. She didn't call back. Instead, Ethan did. 3 minutes later. Natalie, what did you send my mom? His voice wasn't angry. Not yet. It was strained,
Controlled.
like he was still trying to keep everything contained. She asked what happened, I said. I showed her. You're trying to destroy me. I almost smiled. Not because it was funny, because of how predictable it was. I'm telling the truth, I said. You didn't have to send that. You didn't have to bring 3 women into our home.
Silence.
Then, you're blowing this out of proportion. That word again.
Proportion.
As if betrayal had a scale. As if humiliation could be measured and negotiated. You destroyed yourself, I said quietly, and hung up. By Friday afternoon, his entire family knew. His mother, his father, his younger sister, his older brother. I didn't hear it directly, but I felt it. The silence, the absence, the way people who used to text me suddenly didn't, because they weren't choosing sides. They were choosing distance. Ethan moved in with his sister that night. I know because he texted me once, just once. We need to talk. I didn't respond. On social media, he posted something vague. Going through a difficult time. Appreciate privacy. His friends flooded the comments.
Supportive. Defensive.
Angry on his behalf. Stay strong, man. She doesn't deserve you. There are always 2 sides. I read every comment, not because I cared what they thought, because I understood something they didn't. They were defending a version of him that didn't exist anymore. Saturday morning at exactly 9 a.m., I changed that. I opened my email, attached the full audio file, attached the video, and typed one sentence. This is why we're divorcing. Recipients. His parents, his siblings, and 10 of his closest friends. The people who mattered. The people whose opinions shaped his world. Then I hit send. By noon, by 2 p.m., his sister kicked him out. By 5 p.m., his mother called me again. This time, she was crying. "I'm so sorry," she said. "We didn't know." I leaned back against the kitchen counter, staring at the wall. "I know. We thought you were being cruel." "I wasn't." Another pause, longer this time. Then quietly, "Where is he?" I didn't hesitate. "I don't know. He's not answering us." That sounds like his problem. There was something fragile in her voice when she spoke again. "He's our son, and he was my husband," I said. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was understanding.
Painful, unavoidable.
"What do we do?" she asked. I closed my eyes for a moment, not out of sympathy, out of exhaustion. "Whatever you want," I said. "Just leave me out of it." And I hung up. By Sunday morning, 48 hours after I told him to leave, Ethan's life had collapsed. His family wasn't speaking to him. His friends had seen everything, every message, every laugh, every second of proof. He called me 47 times. I know because I counted before I blocked the number. Sunday afternoon, he showed up. I heard the knock.
Sharp. Urgent. Desperate.
"Natalie, please, open the door." I didn't move. "I have nowhere to go."
Silence.
Nobody's answering my calls. Still silence. "I need help." I stood in the hallway, listening. Not because I was considering it, because I wanted to understand what desperation sounded like when it finally replaced entitlement. "I made a mistake," he said, voice breaking now. "I'll fix it. I swear I'll fix it." I leaned my head back against the wall, closed my eyes, and for one brief second, I remembered the man I thought I loved. The version of him who made me laugh, who held my hand, who felt safe. But that man didn't exist anymore. Maybe he never had. "I'm sorry," he said again, softer now. And this time, I believed him. But belief didn't matter. Not anymore. Because sorry doesn't undo choices. Sorry doesn't erase images burned into your memory. Sorry doesn't rebuild trust once it's been shattered that completely. I stayed silent. After 2 hours, the knocking stopped. I looked out the window just in time to see him walk away. Slower this time.
Alone.
Monday morning, my lawyer called. His attorney reached out, she said. I sat down at the kitchen table. What does he want? To settle. I blinked. That was fast. He doesn't have a case, she said plainly. The evidence is clear. Adultery in the home. He knows he won't get anything. What's he offering? He'll sign everything over. House, savings, assets. He just wants his personal belongings and for this to end quickly. I let out a slow breath. Not relief, not satisfaction, just confirmation. Done, I said. Draft it. Tuesday afternoon. He signed. No alimony, no claims, no arguments. Just a signature at the bottom of a document that erased 6 years in less than 60 seconds. The divorce would be final in 60 days. That was it. 6 years. Ended in 1 week. On Wednesday, I changed my phone number, deleted my social media, disconnected every thread that still tied me to him. He tried to reach me anyway, through friends, through work, through people who still had access to me. Every message came back the same. She's done. Leave her alone. 2 weeks later, I heard he moved to another city, staying with a friend. A month after that, he lost his job. 6 weeks later, the divorce was final. I was free. 3 months after everything ended, a letter arrived. 10 pages, handwritten. I recognized his handwriting instantly. The slight slant, the uneven pressure, the way certain letters curved more than they should. I opened it. Read the first paragraph. I'm sorry. I stopped there, folded the paper, put it back in the envelope, and threw it away. Because apologies are easy when consequences are already happening. Because regret isn't the same as change. Because words don't undo actions. And because some endings don't need explanations. 4 months later, I heard he was struggling, moving from place to place, staying with friends who didn't want him long term. His family spoke to him occasionally, but something had broken there, something deeper than anger. Trust. His mother told mine once, "We don't recognize him anymore." I didn't feel sorry. I felt vindicated. Not because I destroyed him, but because I finally saw the truth and acted on it. And that made all the difference. 6 months after the divorce was final, I started dating again. Not because I was ready, because I was curious. There's a difference. Ready implies healing,
Closure.
a sense that the past has settled into something manageable. Curious means you're still carrying it, just quieter. I didn't hide my story. I told it early, sometimes too early.
Over coffee.
Halfway through dinner. Once, even before the drinks arrived. My ex-husband cheated, I'd say. Brought women into our home. I found out the worst way possible. I watched their reactions carefully. Some shifted in their seats. Some offered sympathy. Most pulled back. Not because of what he did, because of what it meant about me.
Damage. Complication.
History. I have trust issues, I told them plainly. If that's a problem, it's better to walk away now. Most did.
Quietly. Politely. Predictably.
But one didn't. His name was Daniel Hayes. He didn't interrupt when I told him, didn't rush to reassure me, didn't try to fix anything. He just listened. Really listened. When I finished, he took a sip of his coffee and said, "That's a lot." I let out a small laugh. "Yeah." Then he added, "My ex-wife cheated too." That was it. No dramatic pause, no shared tragedy speech, just understanding. We didn't bond over pain. We recognized it, and then we chose what to do with it. Daniel was a high school teacher. History. The kind of man people overlook if they're only paying attention to noise. He wasn't loud, didn't perform, didn't need to be the center of anything, but he showed up.
Consistently. Quietly.
Without expectation. The first time I noticed it wasn't during a big moment. It was small. I canceled plans. Last minute. Said I wasn't feeling up to it. He didn't question me, didn't push, didn't make me feel guilty. "Okay," he said. "Let me know if you need anything." No pressure. No hidden frustration. No subtle manipulation. Just space. That was new. 8 months after my divorce, he moved in. Not because we were rushing, because it felt natural. Different furniture, different routines, different energy. The house didn't feel like a place I had to protect anymore. It felt like somewhere I could exist. "Do you still think about him?" Daniel asked once, late at night. We were lying in bed, the room quiet, the kind of quiet that used to make me uneasy. Sometimes, I admitted. He didn't react, didn't tense, didn't ask follow-up questions. Not with regret, I added. With relief. He nodded once, and that was enough. A year after everything ended, Ethan tried to reach me again. This time, through my mother. "She says she's sorry," my mom told me gently. "That she's changed. That she wants to talk." I stood in the kitchen, staring at the sink without really seeing it. "Tell her I'm engaged," I said. I wasn't. Not yet, but I would be. And more importantly, she didn't need to know the truth. My mother hesitated. "Are you sure?" "Yes." She delivered the message. Ethan didn't respond. 14 months after I told him to leave, Daniel proposed. No crowd, no cameras, no elaborate setup. Just the two of us on a quiet weekend trip. A lake, early morning light, still water. "I don't need a big moment," he said, holding my hands. "I just need you to know I'm here." I said yes before he even finished. We set a date for 8 months later. Somewhere around the 16-month mark, Ethan found out. A mutual friend posted a congratulations photo. Tagged me. Didn't think twice. Ethan saw it. Another letter arrived. This one wasn't soft. "You moved on so fast," he wrote. "Like I never mattered. Like 6 years meant nothing." I read that one all the way through, not because I cared what he felt, because I wanted to understand something. And I did. He still believed This was about time, about speed, about how quickly I rebuilt my life. But it wasn't. It was about the moment he destroyed it. 6 years didn't end when I left him. They ended the second he walked into our bedroom with someone else and assumed I'd never wake up. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to explain. 18 months after everything ended, his sister reached out. "She's not doing well," she said. "She's alone, barely making rent. We don't really talk anymore." I listened quietly.
Why are you telling me this? I asked.
"Because she has no one." I thought about that for a moment. Not emotionally, logically. "That's what happens," I said, "when someone lies to everyone who trusted them." There was a long pause. Then,
I know.
she never contacted me again. 2 years after I closed that door, Daniel and I got married. Small ceremony, close friends, family. No drama, no tension, no ghosts. Just peace. We didn't invite anyone from my old life. Not because I was hiding, because I was done. 3 years later, we bought a new house. Sold the old one. Too many memories, too many echoes. We didn't need them. We built something new instead. And 4 years after the divorce, our daughter was born. Perfect. Healthy. Everything I didn't think I'd trust myself to have again. We named her after Daniel's grandmother. No connection to my past. Just forward. 5 years in, my mother mentioned Ethan once. "I saw her at the store," she said carefully. "She looks different." I nodded. "Okay." "She asked about you." "What did you tell her?" "That you're happy, married, have a daughter." I paused for a second. How did she react? My mother hesitated. "She cried." I nodded again. "Good. Do you want me to?" "No," I said. "Don't tell me about her again." And she didn't. 6 years later, I got promoted. Director level. Everything I had worked toward. We celebrated. Dinner. Photos. Laughter. That night, I saw a missed call from a number I didn't recognize. I knew who it was. I didn't call back. Didn't block it either. Just didn't care enough to act. 7 years after that night, we had a son. Our family complete. 2 kids. A home built on something real. Not perfect, not effortless, but honest. 8 years later, I turned 39. Daniel was 37. Our daughter was 4. Our son was 1. And Ethan, 38. Still drifting. Still dealing with the consequences of one night. One decision. People ask me sometimes if I forgive her. I tell them, forgiveness isn't the point. The point is this. She brought 3 women into our home at 3 a.m. while she thought I was asleep. And I woke up. I recorded everything. I ended it. I told the truth. Her life collapsed in 48 hours. Mine started over. 9 years after that night, I stopped wondering what happened to her. Stopped checking. Stopped caring. Because the best revenge isn't destruction. It's indifference. It's building something so stable, so real, that what they broke becomes irrelevant. Ethan destroyed our marriage in one night. I made one decision and built a better life from it. And that is the difference between us. If you're reading this and something feels wrong, pay attention. You don't have to ignore it. You don't have to stay. You don't have to forgive. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is wake up and walk away. Completely.